Good morning, everybody. It's Mr. Balker here. We're going to go over a quick Amplify lesson. Today's lesson is actually kind of an interesting one. Okay, again, this is coming from Going Solo with Roald Dahl, and this is an event that takes place on the boat on his journey out there. The lesson is 8A.3.2. It is this one right here. View from a porthole. Shows a picture of a dude's leg outside the porthole. What's going on? Well, let's talk about it. Lots of stuff are going on this, okay? This is a biographical story where Roald Dahl is telling the story of what he did years after it took place. And obviously his recollection might be a little bit skewed here and there. But it's a really interesting story and it's fun, okay? And so this one here, get ready for it because it's kind of an interesting, crazy thing that happens on the boat. So let's talk about it. I'm gonna go ahead. First thing you need to do, go to this, select number 2, hit play, and listen to all of this. Here he's describing his roommate, U.N. Savory. By the way, it's funny, for those of you that didn't get the joke about this dude's name, U.N. Savory spells unsavory. At that time, unsavory was a description used about somebody that's like gross, dirty, disgusting. And it's funny because U.N. Savory is a bit of an oddball. He is a little bit gross. So go ahead and listen to that and then come back to the video here and then we'll go ahead and talk about what's next, okay? Okay, so now that you've listened to it, what they want you to do is go through this text and find the strong verbs. Strong verbs are verbs that really convey something meaningful and big, okay? I went to the store is a weak verb. I sprinted to the store. I rushed to the store. I panicked within the store. Those are strong verbs. They give you a sense of my mindset, my emotions, what was going inside my head. That's what you want to use in your writing. And he does a really good job with that a number of times on here. And so what happens in this, guys? What happens in this whole scene? So in this scene, he's sitting in his room and he's looking out the porthole window and somebody runs by and he thinks, what? So he looks out the window and there goes the person running by naked on a boat with other people. That's unusual. Then another person runs by and it is this first person's wife. So you've essentially got a naked couple running around on the deck. Why are they doing it? Because they want exercise. That's all there is to it. They want to remain somewhat physically active, and so they run around. And so Roald in this situation is embarrassed, for sure, right? Because you're not supposed to be looking at other people naked as they're running around, but also intrigued because they invite him. Come on, let's go run. Let's go run. What would you do? What would you do in that situation, right? You have never met these people. You're trapped on a boat together for months because this is a very long journey, and they're just running around naked, and it's all pretty new. I don't know. At his age, maybe I'd have gone. I don't know. That's the whole point of the thing, is that this is really pushing the boundaries of his comfort zone, what he would do, what he thinks is acceptable behavior. Okay, he's English. The English people are, by and large, pretty proper at this point. But the reason he has this entire event described so well is because he wants the reader to understand that this is not normal England. That type of activity, that type of action would not be acceptable in normal day-to-day English life. It wouldn't. People would freak out and say, dude, you put your clothes on. What the heck? You can't do that. But that's not where we're at. We're not in England. And this is kind of the first time that he's really coming to terms with that, right? He's just gotten started, but when he's hanging out with Mr. Fusus, right, we're watching her cut up her orange. This is very prim and proper. Sure, she's crazy, dotty, as he calls it, but that's not what's going on here. This is not proper. This is a whole different kind of crazy. This is crazy in the sense of, what in the world are we doing? People are not allowed to run around naked in perfect view of other people. And if they are, they sure as heck don't invite you to go with them. And so it was a really interesting scene. they want you to highlight the powerful verbs. I crawled down to the foot of my bunk, okay? There's a number of times, suddenly the figure of a naked man, naked as a jungle, went swooshing past the porthole, right? It went swooshing. It indicates how fast this happened. Go ahead and take a little bit of time and go through and just highlight the verbs that you think are powerful. That's all you need to do here. Then we're going to talk about those verbs, okay? They've made us a little chart here. If you guys were here in class, what we were going to do is we're going to go around the room and say, give me a strong verb that you saw. Who did it? Who was it? Was it Major Griffiths? Was it Rold? The point of this exercise is you're going to see that Major Griffiths, which is the man who was running around naked, Major Griffiths has a lot of strong verbs, right? He bellows, he swooshes, he encourages, he laughs. Rold is very, very passive with most of his. That's the point of this, is that we're trying to figure out who Rold is. A good story should contain character development. In the same way that we get better over time and we change, our characters and our stories should do the same. And you see this in movies as well, right? You guys have watched a movie where the main character starts off with one mindset and then adjusts, right? I don't know if any of you like the Harry Potter stuff, but Snape is a really good character because he develops enormously. You think one thing about him sometimes, you think another thing about him some other times. That's ideal. That's what you want because that keeps the reader interested. And certainly we're interested right now in this Major Griffiths guy, like what's going on? Okay? Here what we're trying to do is to figure out what Rold thinks about the Major, okay? Get inside his head. So here when he's hanging out with you and Savory, and then we go down, and then here is the moment as he sees the Major running around on it. Type in this box, what do you think he thinks? What do you think he feels about that guy? I think he is intrigued by him. I think that he is jealous of him, truly. And I know that sounds a little crazy to you because why would you be jealous about somebody who's running around naked? Well, for one, the confidence that it takes to say, look, I'm stuck on this stupid boat. I want to get my exercise. I'm going to go for a run. And I don't want to get my clothes all wet and sweaty, so I'm going to go for a naked. I like the way it feels. And I don't care who sees me. Wow. That's bold, right? Like, that's crazy that he has that kind of confidence and that surety. But that's the point of it. And you can tell a little bit that Roald Dahl is like, dang, how's this guy going to be like that? Like, he is legitimately jealous, I will argue, okay? And this lesson is about evidence. You've got to be able to, when you make a statement like that, go back and find text, find proof that says, see, look, here's where he's acting like that. Here's where he acts a little bit jealous. And we're going to get to that here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and move on to number 4 now. In number 4, they specifically want us to find a couple of spots that we felt Roald Dahl himself was interesting. And then just highlight it. Don't highlight anything super long. The reason we want to do this is later on you're going to be called to write using this evidence, and you want to have it accessible to you. This is the point of highlighting. When you're reading a book for a college class or high school class, whatever, and especially if you own the book, and like a digital book is even easier, that's what highlighting is for. So that when you come back, you're like, oh, there's the thing that I thought was important. Right there. That's what I needed to make sure I remembered. Because otherwise you go back to search for something and there's hundreds of pages of God knows what. So that's the purpose of this activity. Okay, let's move on to the big part of today's assignment, guys. It is the writing. The writing on this one is on slide number 5, and here's the question. Choose a passage. What does that passage show you about what's interesting, weird, or funny about Roald? So, you just highlighted your section. In an ideal world, what we've done here is we've gone around the class, we've had a few people say, oh, I like this passage, oh, I like this passage. Well, obviously we can't do that. So, what do? Pick a good passage. Pick one that you're like, yeah, this is really either cool or weird or interesting or funny or whatever. What does it show you? What does it show us inside his head, who he is as a person? What does it show us about Roald Dahl? Okay, I want 120 words in this box to get full credit. Make sure you explain to me why that passage is important. If you want to use some of the passage to get your 120 words, great. By all means do that. Don't use it all and have no thoughts, because that's weak. I want you to explain your thoughts and then supplement those thoughts with evidence from the text. Get used to doing this. This is a skill that is very, very prevalent in ELA courses from here till forever, because it doesn't matter what you think, it matters what you can prove. And if you can prove your ideas with the text, that's a well-reasoned argument. That'll get you full credit, and you're going to do this a lot in your life. So get a good grip on it and start now. 120 words right in here, and that's all you have to do. Okay, hopefully you've enjoyed the book so far. Like I said, I think this is a very interesting and fun, story. It's not one of those things that's like, oh God, I gotta read this. It's one of those things you're like, all right, it's not bad. Like, this is a pretty cool story. He's on this crazy long boat journey, and he gets to meet really interesting people. And I mean, I know that it seems a little off color, but this whole crazy scene with Major Griffiths running around on the boat naked, I think it makes him a really, really interesting character. To be that person. When he's hanging out with his wife, running around, getting the morning exercise, it's a trip. So, I don't know. I remember the first time I read it, which was last year. I was like, I'm surprised that we're going through this, but it is, the book continues to be this interesting. So, I hope you guys are enjoying it, and that'll be the end of the lesson. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you again for the next one.